How are you guys? That's good. I was caught in a bit of surprise. I was being told that I was just going to be part of the program. I thought you guys were going to start your program and then I'm going to finish off, but sounds like I'm going to start first. My name is Francis, as the sister will introduce me. So I came from Melbourne. My main purpose of coming here tonight is to share with you with one of my mission trip that's to Nepal. That was 2 weeks ago. So I was very glad I had this opportunity to come here to share with you guys about this trip. And hopefully from this trip, we can help you to try to stir up some of your mission hearts for the going to Nepal in the futures. Have any of you been to Nepal? No, right? Because the bright light is quite bright, I can't really see you guys. I'm like the center of attention here. Embarrassing. I think I'll move around. I think it's easy for me. None of you been to Nepal? Have anyone know where is Nepal? So he's the only one who knows where is Nepal. So we got grace. I was in the Nepal team 2 weeks ago. So we were there from the 3rd to the 12th of April this month. So next slide. So we were there. So we have a team of 5 people here. I think it's a bit dark. Can anyone see the slide? Yeah. Am I in the way? No. Slide it. Nothing here. It's easy. Thanks for that, because now I'm out of the center of attention now. A bit more relaxed now. Thank you, thanks, Ron. So I was in a team of 5. So everyone know that in the center of that pictures. Do you know? Anyone recognize him? No, maybe. Yeah, that's me, yes. That's good. The one in the center? It's very dark. Who's that? Sorry? You're very quiet. Sorry? No? I think the picture is a bit dark. It's a bit short. And the one on the... don't worry, I'm not going to tell him that. The one on my far right is Dominic Ching. He's also from my church. And then, so I'm the second from my left. And then Reverend Anne, just beside Bishop, and Sister from Brisbane. So we were in the team of 5. So we were there for 10 days. So our main purpose there is to explore Nepal, because Nepal is the first time we went there for a short-term mission. And the hope that we can went there to visit the church there and then see whether we can explore more mission ministry in the future. So the second. So the way I normally share my mission trip is that I usually introduce the country to the audience first, because no point me sharing all my mission trip without you guys knowing this country. And so this is Nepal. The flag is very unique. You know, 2 triangle, and so Nepal is a country in the south of Asia, and it's just right in between China and India. It's a very small country. It's very mountainous, and I'm pretty sure that most of you know about Nepal because of the mountain, right? Yeah. Which mountain was in Nepal? This is like geography class today. Oh, yes! I'll give you some lowly subjects. That's good. So I've got different audience tonight. Because normally my sharing audience is that the young adults or the more grown up. So Nepal is it's very mountainous. As you can see, on the north part of the Nepal is mainly mountains. And I think 5 of the 8 world tallest mountains was found in Nepal, and that including Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain. And when you come down from the north, you go to the midland, and then you go to the lowlands in the southern part. The next slide. So Nepal is quite a small country. So the size of the country is like half of New Zealand, but the population is around 26 million. So another question, what was the population of Australia? 23. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So it's more of the, it's half the size of New Zealand, but the population is more than Australia. So it's very, like lots of people crowded in a small country. So as I say, it's famous for its beautiful scenery. So a lot of people went there for hiking. You know, if you want to go for hiking, they'll usually go there for to climb the Mount Everest or to the base camp. It's also an interesting place because it's the birthplace of the Buddha. Yep. And however, even though Nepal is very popular among the tourists, it's one of the poorest country. Can you guess how much do they earn on average per day? Have a guess in USD, US dollars. 50 cents. I think more than that. I think 50 cents here. 75 cents or $75? It's around $2. That's what they earn per day. So it's around $60, $50 to $60 per month. So it is not a lot. And because of the poor economics, a lot of the graduates from the university, most of them will have to go to overseas to find some job. According to them, around 4 to 5 out of 10 graduates, they have to leave the country to go to places like Malaysia, Singapore, or Hong Kong. And when they go there, they don't find their own professional, but they go there to work as a laborer. So it's pretty sad. I mean, they're going through high school, university, but then they have to leave their own country to go to a foreign country to work as a laborer. So these are some of the pictures. The next slide. So these are the pictures. You can tell we took it from when we took the Air Asia flight to Kathmandu. This is the capital of the country, and so it's a very mountainous area. And on your right bottom, which is the Himalayan country, which one of the brothers took it from one of the scenic flight. It's quite a beautiful place. You can consider next time when you want to or maybe you can join a short-term team, then you can go there to do mission and then visit the place at the same time. Good. Next slide. So this is the pictures there is one of the what we call tuk-tuk. Anyone know tuk-tuk? You have been to Thailand? Yes. Cambodia? There's a lot of tuk-tuk in there. So in Nepal, there's a lot of tuk-tuk too. Basically it's like a motorcycle with three wheels. One of the way to learn about the culture of the country is actually to know how the language is spoken. And why don't we learn some of the language? So tonight, even though you know nothing or you can't understand me or you don't remember any of them, but at least you remember some of the Nepalese. And next time when you see a Nepalese, you can speak some Nepalese. So the first one is called Jamasi. Jamasi, right? Yeah, good. So Jamasi means is a way of greeting to a Christian. So the way that they greet is actually putting the hand together and say Jamasi. So next time when you come in, when you see your brother or sister, you can always say Jamasi. Yes. So what it actually means that God is with you. Jamasi. Next one is called Namaskar. Namaskar means is a greeting towards non-Christian. So when you see a non-Christian, you can say Namaskar to them. Dhanyabad. Dhanyabad is called thank you. Dhanyabad. The fourth one you're pretty interested for you. Kanas. Kanas? Kana? No, it's not kana. It's not money. Kana. Kana is food. Kana is food. Yes, right. Yes. So you want to go to Kathmandu? Kana is very important, right? Because you want to look for meals. Kana. And pani? Pani? Pani means water. And bosong means have a seat. Bosong have a seat. And mitosa means very delicious. The food is very delicious. So kana mitosa, very very delicious food. This sounds like a Japanese food. I don't have the Nepalese slang or things, so when I pronounce it, it's quite awkward. But at least we should, let's say a few words about Jamasi. Right? Jamasi? Yes, good. And Dayabat, thank you. Dayabat? Good, okay. Alright, next slide. So, the one before that, so this is a gospel from Nepal, which is churches that we visit when we were in Nepal. So this church, this is the mission of this church. So the church is actually being set up by a pastor who was actually worked as a laborer when he was in Malaysia. And with God's grace, he actually accepted Christ when he was in Johor Bahru in Malaysia. And since then, he became a pastor and went back to Nepal and set up church and then planted a few churches. So at the moment, there are 8 churches in the gospel for Nepal. So you can read, I mean, what the vision is actually trying to introduce Christianity to this country and to Christ, the hope to save this country from all this poor and all the hardship of this country. So after we arrived in Kathmandu, we had to drove around 2.5 hours to a place called Haltadai, which is actually in a small town in the Midland. And that journey was actually terrible. It's one of the, I've been to many of the mission trips, but this journey is quite terrible. We have to go through up and down 9 mountains, and then on the flat land around an hour plus before we reach this town. And when we left, Kathmandu was around 6 p.m. and when we reached Haltadai, it was around 10. So essentially around 4 hours. It was a very good drive. I was car sick, all the way towards the end. The next one. So this is one of the first church that we visited when we were there. It's called Rotomate. Rotomate is it's the first church that the pastor, the founder of the church, they set up. So his name is Pastor Aida. So he planted this church in this Rotomate is the first church. So you can see on that picture on the right hand side that it was a welcoming ceremony for us, and they love us coming to visit them. Next one. So when we were there, So when we were there, we also joined them for the worship. So this is the worship during the service and during the ceremony service. So it was one of the best moments, even though we don't understand what they are singing, but it's really enjoyable, and it's really you feel that the heart of worship when you start worship with them. They are so passionate in singing and so passionate in praying. The only thing was that I'm not sure it may not be so obvious to you. Can you see that there's a different amount of ratio between the female and the male, the sister and brothers? Yes? No? No. You can see the brothers are usually around 1/3 or 2/3 of the sister. And do you know what was the reason? Have a guess? Okay. Sorry, I only have 20 minutes here, so I don't want to be too long. The main reason is because, as I said before, a lot of the male have to go to overseas to find work, so they can get income for the family. So some of them even after married, I mean, we know of the sister, she only been married for less than a year, and her husband have to go to Malaysia to work as a laborer. And each time they went there when they go to Malaysia, they have to go there for a contract of 4 years. So what they do in the 4-year contract is that the first 2 years actually paying back to the agents who organize them to go there, and only the last 2 years they actually earning their own money to bring back to Nepal. So it's pretty hard. Next one. So this is the traditional Nepalese breakfast that we have on that first day. So you can see there's donut, some sort of donuts to us. And you guys are all from Malaysia? You know what's do you know kancha putih? The peanut? Yes? No, I don't know that. Yes. This is what they have for the breakfast. Free heavy. donut with all the peanuts and all the nuts and the maize kind of things. Pretty nice. So one of the purpose that the team was there was actually try to give them some leadership training. And Bishop was a main speaker for the leadership training. So you can see that Bishop was trying to get the brothers in between. It's called Magesh. Magesh is one of the theological students in the church. So he was doing the translation for Bishop. Next one. So this is this is one of the main ministry that we were doing there. So this is so we're doing medical ministry there. And it's a pretty good experience because it's my first time seeing patient in the tent. So it's like a Mongolian tent kind of things there. So on your right hand side, the brothers Dominic. So he's helping me to dispense all the medication after we see patient. And there's lots of patients on the day. And you can see on the bottom one, we even see patient until when the blood counts does fall. So I think on the day we saw around 127 patients on the day. So it's a lot. I was pretty tired, but with God's grace, I have strength to see all this kind of patient, all these patients. Next one. Oh, you know how to pronounce Popo. Good. All right. Just I mean, it was really wonderful to go to this kind of short-term mission trip, and God always put something during the trip so that it's to highlight your trip. This Popo actually is one of the patients that she came to see me on the first day. She's around 85 years old, and she came to me just for overall general unwell, ache in the bone kind of things in there. And then after talking with her for a few minutes, we found that she was actually being driven out by her family because of her faith. So she believed in Jesus, but the family does not believe in Jesus, and so the family driven her out from the family. And because she was so poor, do you know where she had to live in a shed where all the cow live, and she was living there for the past few months already. So she was very malnutrition when I started examining her. So it's a very sad story to see this kind of a story. But her faith was so strong in Jesus that even though her family persecuted her, driven her out, she still believed in Jesus, and she still cling on to her faith. It was just a really good lesson for me to learn. Next one. And I don't know what's called in English. It's baptism, but what sort of it's a hot body baptism, it's in the water. So immerse, good. Yes, thank you. So in Nepal, they believe in immerse baptism. So Bishop was there, and they grabbed this opportunity for him to conduct the baptism. So Bishop was telling me this was his first time doing this kind of immerse baptism. And so we went to one of the river sites and we baptized around 8 brothers and sisters. It's pretty cold. The water is pretty cold. It's a different experience. Next one. And so this is another church that we visit. It's one of the small churches that was being planted by Rotomate. And you can see the church is very small, but it was able to accommodate around 25 people in there to worship. So, and on your bottom right, you can see that the church wall is actually made up of a few wooden stick, and then just being held together by all the mud cement. So it's pretty poor conditions, but they able to able to worship in there quite happily in there. Next one. This is another church we visit. It's one of the churches up in the mountain. It's called Bubule, and we have to climb up around 2.5 hours to reach out to this church. Next slide. So we went to one of the church on the foot of the mountains, and then we have to climb around 2.5 hours. And this is the way up to the mountains, and it was pretty tough, and we have to take lots of small races, small stop to rest. Next slide. So we went there again. We do some medical ministry there, and we see around 70 plus patients during the day. And another story to tell. So the pictures on your right pictures. The ladies come to see me, and then we found out that she lost her husband around 7 years ago, and she's still pretty sad with that, and she's still trying to overcome that. And Bishop was there, and we managed to. Bishop was praying for her, so that, to pray that Jesus can take over all her sadness and all her burdens. So this is another church that we visit that it was on the foot of the mountain. So we went there for a day, and then we came back. And this is a church that we stayed there for 2 nights. And have you guys ever experienced not having shower for 2 nights and 3 days? Neither do I. I've not experienced that before, but that was my first time that I was not able to shower for 3 days and 2 nights. And we were all sleeping in this church there. Next slide. The reason is that because at this church, in this village, there is no water supply. And the only water supply all came from the rivers, and also came from the wells in there. So they have to carry all the water, the vase to the rivers and collect the water and bring back to the house. So because of that, we do not have any water to have showers on. So at the end of the 3 days, we're pretty smell it there. Next one. So when we were in the church again, besides we're doing medical ministry most of the time. Reverends Scott and Bishop, they also evangelize to all the patients. So medical ministry is one of the things that we do there, even though it's one of the things that we do, but it's one of the things that will attract all the patients to come to see the doctors. And while they're waiting for to see doctors, the Bishop and Reverends Scott was able to evangelize to introduce Jesus to them. And it's very, very encouraging and very joyful to see a lot of patients actually accept Christ. And next time. And this is one of the conditions that you will see a lot when I was in Nepal. Because the hygiene condition there was so poor that all the kids, they all stay in very poor condition. So, anyone can guess what is this? Skin rash. It's part of skin rash, but what causes one? No. Right? Sorry? Skin one. It's part of skin. It's called scabies. And this boy has scabies all covering all his body. And it was so sad. He's not the only one. We saw like at least 10 or 20 cases of children have this kind of conditions. And we saw how to treat. And you can't just treat because once you treat it with cream, any fungi cream, when they went back home, they get scabies again because the house condition, the hygiene in the house condition is also very poor. This is one of the ladies that we saw, and he came to me very breathless, mainly because he got very bad asthma. He left, not been treated for quite a few months, mainly because she was so poor that she could not afford her medications. I'm not going to tell too much about this next one. So this is another church that we went, called Calvary Church. I think there's a spelling error. This one too, back. Next one. Just want to tell about this amazing testimony. So this the one beside the bishop was a pastor of that church, and he has a very amazing testimony that he shared with us when we were there. So he told us that I think that was around 5 or 10 years ago. He had a chest tumor, and he went to see the doctors, and he was being told to go home because the tumor was incurable. And then he was being told that he's going to die from this tumor within a few months. So he prayed to God and he told us after a few months, God healed him, and the tumor disappeared from the chest completely. And he actually took off his shirt and showed the scar, and the scar was still there, but it was all completely healed already. So it was just a miracle that happened in this kind of among the believers, especially in these kind of countries where Christianity was start to grow. And it was just really encouraging to see, that he is being so his faith has gone so strong that he actually gave his life to Jesus. That he now became a full-time pastor, and he's now looking after ministry in this church. The next. While we were there, we also went to visit some of the poor houses there. So this is some of the what they call the illegal housing estate. What they call illegal housing estate is because there's a group of people who build a house there, and then the government just pretty much just ignore them, even though they are illegal occupants. So the house is basically made out of once again the muddy cement wall, and the roof is basically all made out of cardboard curtains in there. So they're pretty poor. I mean, once the rain comes, the roof is all pretty much gone. Next slide. It's another sad story. I mean, this lady lived in she lived in a very poor conditions there, and we saw this lady when after a church service. She's actually a believer, and she came to me and said that my boys, which is the baby in her arm, was very sick for a few weeks already. And when we found her that she was actually quite sick, quite dehydrated, and she was quite jaundiced. That means that was quite yellowish. So we told her that she needs to go to the hospital to bring her children to the hospital. But then she said she can't because she has no money. So we give her some money to go to the hospital. But unfortunately, the money is only enough for 2 or 3 days. But her babies recover after 2 or 3 days, but it's not fully recovered. So then she had to bring back her babies back home. And this is the house. You can't really see the house that she lived. The floor that she's sitting was actually mud. It's all wood. There's no floor covering there. And this is how they live. And behind her you can see the wall. It's actually it's not windshield kind of thing. So during winter times in Nepal is quite cold. It's actually as cold as I'm sure but it's can be quite cold. It's up to 10 degrees or 7 degrees. So in winter time it's going to be quite cold. So they all live in very poor conditions. And this is some of the other houses that we visit over there. So you can tell that they cook inside the house, they eat inside the house, and the living condition over there is just so poor. But one of them, even though we see so many of the poor people and the poor condition that they live in, but one of the things that really encourage us, that really inspire us, is their patience to God's word. When Bishop and Reverends share the God's word Bibles with them, they are also patient with that, and they're all sitting there for half an hour to 45 minutes and up to an hour without moving, just listening, very paying the full attention to them. And when they sing, they usually sing with the heart and really worship with their patience. And this is one of the things that we really learned a lot from them when we were there. The next slide. So this Nepal trip, even though it's only 10 days, but for me it's quite physically, quite mentally, it's quite tired because overall over the 5 days time, I saw around 350 patients. And mentally I was so drained out. But I experienced God's grace and God's experience during the whole trip. The trip from the Kathmandu to Calcutta is like 4 hours, and it's very dangerous drive, and it's not a smooth drive. But with God's protection, we actually everyone get there safe, and then going back to Kathmandu also it's all very smooth trip there. And it was it's really a great pleasure for me. Pleasure. It's not pressure. It's pleasure. Sorry, mistake. for me to serve them. I mean, using my professional to at least seeing them and giving them free treatments, and it's actually a very satisfactory experience for me. But I think the most important thing for me, not actually seeing them to be healed from their body suffering, but also seeing them that by evangelize them, they also can be saved from the Jesus Savior, from the gospel. And this is what we actually sort of inspired me from doing this kind of ministry for the past few years. And the other thing was that to see this kind of people being, the needs of these people being in so poor conditions, I sort of realized that how blessed I am, how lucky I am, and towards the end, I'll just tell myself, the poor country needs God's salvation to deliver them from this kind of hardship and this poor. I think I passed my 20 minutes time there. Sure. Yeah, just quickly, because I'm not going to come back but I think why don't we finish off with actually there's a few more slides. Just need to give me 3 minutes. I'll finish off. The next one, we will come into this one afterwards. My purpose here is actually coming here to share about the medical missions ministry that we try to encourage most of all the churches in CMCA about this ministry. We try to encourage people who are in the medical professional to come and to participate in all this ministry so that we can outreach to the people in a very poor country. Not only to provide free and the best medical service to all the treatment to all the poor people, but also at the same time to evangelize to them and outreach to them so that they not only being saved, are being sort of healed from the body suffering, but they also can be healed spiritually. And one of the visions that we try, I think next one is that through one of the vision of this what so-called the triple M, the MMM, is actually through medical missions ministry, the gospel can be spread. The member of CMCA is you guys, to be involved in social work and caring, enforced by the spirit of Methodism. And the spirit of Methodism is actually reach out to all the needy people and all the poor people so that we can care for them, spiritually and also physically. And to provide physical healing and also to provide spiritual healing. The next slide. So we encourage churches to send medical team to reach out to these places, as I've said before, and to develop a sound. The only thing was that what we try to do is that in the future, hopefully in the future, we could have a more stronger medical team so that we can actually go to the hospital and also to the local communities to help them to set up medical equipment and medical service. And by doing that, we can actually develop a very good relationship with the local governments, and from there we can actually share our faith with them and hopefully to try to convert them to Christians. I mean, this may not be relevant to you, as you probably sitting there saying, what have this have to do with me? But you never know. I mean, you may be, you may have a vision of becoming a doctor, a nurse, a physiotherapist, or any of the allied therapies. And we hope that you remember this the sharing tonight, and hopefully in the future we all can work together and we can go and carry out this medical missions ministry. Just finish off. Just back to this one. Do you know how to sing this song? This is actually a Nepalese song in This Is the Day the Lord Has Made. Do you know how to sing this song? This is there? Yes? I think only everyone know how to sing this song, is it?
Only us oldies.
You know? Do you want to lead us? We just go through the lyrics once, and then we can sing. It's quite easy. So this is the day. It's called Aja Buding. So Aja Buding, Aja Buding. Yeah? I'm the only one singing, right? And that the Lord has made. It's called Yuli Shaka. Yuli Shaka. Okay? Yeah? Aja Buding, Yuli Shaka, Yuli Shaka, Ramadaka, Ramadaka, Rakusimanu, Ramadamanu, Ajagudi Uleshijeka, Ramadasha Rakusimanu, Ajagudi Uleshijeka. Does anyone know play guitar or piano?
Oh, great.
Stop laughing, that's great, get it around your head.
1, 2, 3. Ajagudi, Ajagudi, Uleshijeka, Uleshijeka, Ramai Dato, Rakusimanu, Radhamanu, Ajagudi, Uleshijeka, Ramai Dato, Rakusimanu, Ajagudi, Ajagudi, I only hear my own voice. I don't hear your own voice. First, one more time. Can you sing louder? It's not that hard. Don't worry. Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Go. Ajagudi, Ajagudi, Uleshijeka, Uleshijeka, Ramai Daja, Rakusimana, Thank you. All right, thank you for giving me this time to share around with my Nepal mission trip, and I hope that to share with this my trip, it really help you to start up as what's happening in other countries that is less fortunate than us. And there are lots of people out there in the world that we have not reached, we have not heard about gospel, and they are all waiting for us to come to share our faith with them and to try to bring them to Christ. Okay, thank you.